Hello again, I'm Andy Schallman, and this is the Generation Report. It's obviously been a while since I released a new episode, and with that in mind, I thought I'd take a few minutes to speak candidly about a number of things, including my plans for the podcast going forward. When I wrote the first drafts for this series in 2018, I wasn't intent on proving that one theory of history somehow explains everything. My goal was to demonstrate that the generational theory framework, when applied to its fullest potential, wields a lot of insight about not only generational differences, but about why things have changed over time as they have. I felt that the willingness to explore and apply these ideas beyond their textbook or Cliff's Notes reading was noticeably lacking back then, and unfortunately I can't say that has changed very much. I genuinely thought I had the ability to be the person who could make these ideas widely acknowledged and to spur a conversation that would spread far beyond this channel. It's past time for me to concede that, with the exception of the conversations I've been fortunate to have with Sasha Stone, someone I consider a friend and whose work everyone listening should check out, I was wrong. No one maintains a consistent level of passion for the same things forever, and I'm certainly no exception. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't dispirited, seeing Neil Howe continue to get softball questions on podcasts and at forums, while this channel has superior content to anything he's said or produced in the last 7 years. Part of that is admittedly a struggle with the algorithm, but I think it's also emblematic of something bigger and frankly unignorable, which is that today, established people over age 60 have all kinds of scales tipped in their favor, including but not limited to the presumption of having superior insight about almost everything meaningful. It doesn't matter how crazy or violent things get. It doesn't matter how much evidence we have that history is much more than simply the story of generational change. It doesn't matter how much power his own generation continues to maintain its grip on and for how long. Neil will still reassure audiences that his cycle keeps moving and it will somehow be all right in the end. I've finally resigned myself to the fact that Neil's voice is the one people will turn to, and his talking points are the ones people will regurgitate until he squanders what credibility he has left. To belabor something I think I've made fairly obvious for several years, I'm not optimistic about where this fourth turning is leading America, and moreover, it's hard for me to see many silver linings for America's future generally. In complete contrast to America's past fourth turnings, when otherwise tumultuous and traumatic crises gave way to reinvigorated institutions and a renewed sense of national identity, today, the left is poised to try to take over all power in a declining America by any means necessary, which, if it succeeds, would mean the end of America as we know it. To be somewhat more specific, right now, I see a future where liberty, prosperity, and the protections of the Constitution exist for only a favored few, and whether by collapse, by civil conflict, or by electoral mandate, the time horizon in which that result could happen, if the fourth turning is any guide, is the next 5 years. As an American, as an appreciator of American history, as someone whose American dream began crumbling with the events of 2008, and as someone who, God willing, still has half his life in front of him to reclaim it, I don't want to see that happen. For as long as America exists, questions will be asked and theories will be brought forward about how our nation reached this point. There obviously will be no single perfect or universally agreed upon answer, but the sentiment which I believe best captures why this fourth turning is different was, oddly enough, written during America's last fourth turning more than 90 years ago. Out of all the writers and historians whose work I've come to be familiar with since I began this series, Herbert Agar is definitely on the short list of the best. In 1935, in the middle of the Great Depression and with the shadows of communism, fascism, and Nazism spreading around the world, Agar wrote these words in a book entitled Land of the Free. No nation can be great without the self-confidence, the sense of duty, the will to sacrifice, which can only come with a conviction of moral rightness. Much of this series has focused on how America has split along the lines of completely opposed moral viewpoints and moral frameworks since Herbert Agar's time, even to the point where truth is no longer acknowledged by the same standards it used to be. Wherever this all leads America, good, bad, or in between, I long ago committed myself to be the person who sets out to ask and explore the most basic questions. How did this happen, and why? That commitment is one I intend to keep. But at the same time, the podcast's run of serving as my principal means of exploring those questions is nearing an end. I have plans to produce 2 more episodes in the usual style and format. After that, every new video on this channel will be more of a thought exercise for a future piece of writing. I hope you will stay with this channel and continue to share my work. Either way, thank you to everyone who counts yourself among my listeners and subscribers. Your support has meant more to me than you could ever know. And to end on another personal note, this is the 97th and final episode of this series I will be recording at the place where it all began. Thank you, Uncle Jack, for everything. Till next time, I'm Andy Schallman. Happy 250th, and may God bless America.